Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to almost completely disassemble this 13-inch MacBook Pro. This is a mid-2017 model A1708. This should also work on the late 2016 model. But yeah, anyways, I actually already pre-disassembled a different one so that I could transfer over these components. So we have the battery, and then just to make it easier, I left the speakers and the fan in there, though I might end up transferring those as well, or at least taking it out so you can kind of see. But it's not really necessary. You can just leave those in. If you get parts, it's somewhat difficult to find parts where it's all assembled like this. So yeah, I guess maybe I'll at least take these two out. Usually you'll find the keyboard with just the battery, and sometimes you'll just find the keyboard. The battery, after that, you can buy an aftermarket one, and it has adhesive you can stick it on. But keep that in mind. If you have to rip out a battery, if the battery's bad, it's somewhat of a pain. I have videos showing that. I'm not showing it in this one. All right. So, okay. First thing we're going to do, pretend this thing's not here because normally computers won't have this on there. But we're going to need a T8 or Torx 8, a T5, Torx 5, T4, Torx 4, T3, Torx 3, P2 or Pentalobe 0.8, and a P5 or Pentalobe 1.2, I believe. All right, so anyways, we're going to first use the P5 screwdriver, the Pentalobe. This is the only time we're going to need it for this model, is to remove these screws around the base. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove all these screws. You want to keep your screws all in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. The way I do that, I put them flat side down like this on my desk in the pattern I remove them. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll actually hold my camera and show you how I have all the screws lined up on my desk right now from the previous one, and this is how I'll be able to put back all the other screws. I'll show you once I get this bottom cover off. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all these screws out. These two corner screws are the longest, then these are next, and then these are the shortest ones down here. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you mix up your screws somehow, hopefully that will help. As for the other screws, there's way too many to kind of list out, so I'm just going to show you what it looks like, how I arrange it. Hopefully you can do something similar that will help you know where you got the screws from. And yeah, all right, so let's go ahead and open this first. So the way you open this, easiest way, if you have fingernails, these are really good tools to have. People keep telling me to cut my fingernails. I'm not going to cut them because they make my job way easier. Anyways, I'm going to move this out of the way. Again, pretend you don't have this cover. You don't need that. We're going to use a suction cup. You can also use tape or whatever, and then you pull up on this so that you can get underneath this gap here of the cover. You can use a lot of tools to do this. If you don't have a suction cup, sometimes you can get away with using a screwdriver in the screw hole, and you can kind of like pry it up, but then you might end up denting this, so it's best to use a suction cup if you can. All right, so once you get under there, let me see if I can zoom in and show you guys this better. So you'll get in there, you can see my fingernails are in there. You're going to work your way down the side, and then once you get down the side, I'm going to push, I'm going to push with my thumb. It's hard to do this to give you guys a good view. Let me see if I can angle this in a way you can see. Okay, so you can see this edge here. I'm going to get my fingernails in the side and then use my thumb here. We're going to slide my hand all the way down until I can't really slide it down anymore because it's stuck too far. And then we're going to push down with my thumb here, pull up with my fingernails. You can also use your other thumb on the other side, same thing with the other fingernails, and pull like that. And there you go, it pops up. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to the other side since it's already open from holding it up. Just slide your hand over just like that, same thing, get on that side, slide it down, and then pull it up just like that. All right, and there we go. So we got the bottom cover unclipped. Now for the somewhat hard part, you can kind of get a bunch of paper or something if you want to pad it, though it's not really going to get damaged even if you don't, but this helps. Okay, so what you do, you put it like that. Then what you do is you get your fingers in there again. Be careful because the edges of this are very sharp, so your fingernails, they rest against the back of that, and it will protect you because your fingernails will just slide on it like that. If you put your fingers too far and your fingers are in here, then the metal will cut you and you'll end up like cut here. So you want to be very careful with that. Okay, don't put your fingers through that far. You just barely get your fingertips in there, grab with your palm real hard, okay? Pinch and hold, and then you're gonna also push down here, but you wanna keep some fingers wrapped over so it doesn't fall over like this, okay? And you're gonna push down while you pull, just like this. It can be really tough, and there you go. You can see it popped down. We're gonna go to the other side. Once you get one side down, usually the other one's a lot easier because this already kind of tilted slightly over. And then we're just gonna grab that and pull down like this, okay? Then we're gonna flip it backwards, just like that. Get it out of the way. Let me move this out. This is how the mechanism works. You have these little kind of things that slide under into the fan vent holes here. Okay, and then you have the clips here, 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 and here. When you pop these side clips, these clips will almost always pop out as well. I don't know how you would get these to stay in, so you usually don't have to worry about pulling the middle up because it's already unclipped. All right, so we're gonna set this cover aside. Okay, let me show you real quick all the screws because if it's too many screws and you're too scared to do it, hopefully this will scare you away from attempting and then getting stuck with a million screws. So let me show you here, okay? So here's all the screws I had to remove, okay? You can see there. We got the bottom cover screws. We got this for the trackpad cable. This is to remove the trackpad. These screws are to remove the wireless antenna. So let me tell you what screwdriver. So for the wireless antenna, you're going to use the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8. This is T5. This is also, actually I think these were like T3, or it might be T5, all right? The Torx. The battery screws right there, that's Torx 5 or T5, all right? Sorry, not focusing. These are the screen connector screws or LVDS connector screws. So those screws, focus. Okay, those screws, some are like T3 and some are T4. You want to be careful. Use the T4 first. If it doesn't work and it doesn't fit in, then switch to the T3 because you don't want to strip these screws. All right, these screws are for the little hinge covers. Those are T3. These screws are for in the middle, in between holding the screen LCD board and the little spring-loaded screen cables. These are all T3 screws. This one down, actually, sorry, these ones down here are T3, the ones for the screen board, and then this one that holds the wireless antennas down, those are T5 or Torx 5. These two are T3 as well for the hinge screw cover, just like that one. All right, then we got these 6 screws. Those are the hinge screws. Those you use a T8 or Torx 8. Then we start taking out motherboard screws here. I don't remember what I removed. I think they were all T5 or Torx 5. Usually the ones that hold these metal covers down tend to be like a T3 or Torx 3. And then most of the other ones are like T5. Usually go with the larger screwdriver first. If it doesn't fit, then you can switch over to the smaller one. You don't want to start with a small screwdriver, strip out the screw, and then you're messed up now. So make sure, try with the larger screwdriver first if you're not sure. But I'll kind of go over it as I'm taking out the screws so you can kind of see. But again, the T4 and T3, I don't know why Apple sometimes will like to use the wrong size or different sizes to make you mess up, or I don't know what's going on, or maybe they're short on supply of the right size. And yeah, so sorry this is like a longer video. But this is a more detailed trying to educate people on this. So I'm going to move these screws into view so you can kind of see which one I grab, okay? If I had someone that edited, maybe they could edit every time I pick up a different screwdriver. But the thing with most of my repairs, I don't repair like the same model over and over. MacBooks, I do so many of the same thing that I kind of already know which bits I need. But maybe in the future, I don't know if I'll ever do it because it would be so time consuming and so expensive. And I don't really get much contributions from this kind of stuff or much money from it. YouTube doesn't pay me enough. But maybe somebody can like edit and they'll go, this one, P5, like they'll put labels here or something. I don't know. I guess I could also put like little post-it notes, but since I kind of brought it up already, the sizes, okay, it's going from larger to smaller. All right, this is again T8, T5, T4, T3, P5, and P2. Okay, anyways, we already finished the P5 screwdriver, so we don't need that anymore, but I'll just leave it there just so you can see the pattern. Okay, So the main thing we need to do first is remove the battery. And if you didn't already, of course, shut down your computer. Make sure you shut it down properly. Click the shutdown button if you can. If you can't, for some reason, just press and hold the power button until it completely shuts off. All right, we're gonna remove this little plastic piece here, holding down the, or covering the battery connector. So to remove this, you just slowly, carefully peel this up, just like this, okay? Sometimes these foam pads will end up stuck on here instead of on this piece. If that's the case, if you're just putting it back on with all the same stuff, then that's okay. But if you're like replacing the battery or something and there's a thing stuck here, you might want to transfer it over to here. Or if it's stuck here and you're replacing the motherboard, you'll want to transfer it over to here. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. So I'm going to start a new thing of screws and whatever because I'm working on this other model. Okay, again, all those other screws are from a different one. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to use the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, I guess now you can't see all the screwdrivers or screwdriver bits next to it. We're going to peel this up slightly. There's a little latch here. You flip that up. Okay, once you flip that latch up, get under here. Fingernails are useful because I can't get under there with my fingertip, but with my fingernail I can get under there and then I can pinch with my other finger and I can pull this out. Okay, so there we go. Once we do that, we can use the T5 or Torx 5 to remove the battery connector screw. I know some people will say, well, you don't need to use fingernails. You can use, they have tools for that. But why would I want to switch like a million different tools when I just have my fingers already do it? All right, so we're going to go under here. You see the battery connector? We're going to flip that up as well, just slightly. All right, you don't want to lift this up too high because you don't want to break this metal tab. If you bend it too much, you can rip it off, okay? I mean, I've never had that happen, but it seems like it's likely, very possible, all right? So once we lift that up, you can see it's not touching the battery thing anymore. We're going to open up the MacBook, okay? And then we're going to press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds. This is very important, especially if you're doing anything with the screen connector. If you don't do this, you can fry your screen backlight circuit, you can fry the logic board backlight, the screen itself, or the cable, or the connector on the motherboard, or all of them. So very important, hold this at least 15 seconds, all right? I think I already did like 20 something seconds. But anyways, let's close this up. Okay, longer is better. It doesn't hurt to hold it for longer. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, I think I'm going to zoom out a bit because otherwise these screwdrivers, the bits that I have here are going to be in my way and I can't really move it around for you guys to see too well. Maybe I'll leave it slightly zoomed in, but not completely. Okay, anyways, actually I need to get a, I probably should have done an internal thumbnail first, or I guess maybe I'll do one with all the parts missing, or I don't know, maybe with the start. I probably should have done it with the screwdriver, the suction cup and everything. Anyways, sorry for that. Okay, now that we got that out, we can technically go in any order we want here. But obviously, if something is on top of the other, you're obviously going to have to take that out first. Okay, like technically, if you want, you can actually take out the speakers without taking out the motherboard. Again, I'm not going to be removing the speakers. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'll show you guys one. Let's go ahead and take this out. Okay, I mean, I'll just take them out and then I'll just put them back in later. Okay, so these screws, when you twist them, again, these are T5, Torx 5 screws. Okay, once you undo them, there is a little rubber, like gasket or whatever, that holds it in place. We're going to peel up this plastic here. We do have to disconnect this cable, whether we're taking the speakers out or not, okay? So this cable is kind of taped on a bit, so make sure you peel it back. All right, there you go. You'll feel it like release, and then you can see like partially, let me actually zoom in here. You'll see like the gold at the back of the connector there. That's how you know you peeled it back far enough. We'll flip this latch up. I use my fingernail. Then we can grab this plastic flap that was taped down and pull it back. And that's how you disconnect the speaker. So now the speaker's disconnected. Again, if you want, you can remove the speaker now. I just go from the side here and try and get underneath. If you can't, you can kind of use some tape to help stick on it and then just lift it up. But here you can see we can get it up like this. It goes up at an angle and then you slide it out to the side, and just be very careful with that. Be careful with the screws. They usually won't fall out because of those rubber washers in there, but you don't want to like swing it around and then they go flying somewhere and you lose them. But this is what the speakers look like. Very easy to remove. I don't see model number stuff on there. I'm probably not going to mention like those extra model number stuff because it's not necessary. Okay, usually you just search A1708, like mid 2017 speaker or something, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna remove this speaker, same exact idea, peel up this thing. Okay, I think I'm just gonna have to move the screwdriver bits aside, and you're just gonna have to pay attention when I mention the name of the screwdriver bit I'm using, because it's in the way for recording. Okay, anyways, we're gonna peel this up. Okay, just like that. You can see this one, the adhesive wasn't as strong. You can see the gold at the bottom. We're gonna again flip the latch up. I just use my fingernail, grab this, pull it back. All right, you might have to wiggle it. Sometimes it gets stuck a little, and there we go. The other thing, but make sure that adhesive is up, of course. All right, we're gonna use the T5 Torx 5 screwdriver. This one has 3 screws, so we're just gonna undo these as well. Okay. Sometimes these screw mounts aren't very good, and then the screw will just keep twisting, so be careful with that. Oop. Okay, so we got that out. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. I don't know if you noticed on here, it's missing, oops. On here, it's missing this screw mount, and that's because it went out with the screw. Like this one that I just took out, it came out with the screw. So make sure to keep an eye on that as well. If you're swapping these over, you want to make sure that it has those mounts on it. All right, we're going to lift the speaker out. And that's kind of why I just leave the speakers in there, because it's not necessary. We're not replacing that. But I kind of wanted to show you guys components that are under here. You can see this is the keyboard connector, the connector that connects the keyboard. Well, technically it connects the keyboard and I believe the fan as well to the motherboard. All right, so we have this same thing like the speaker connector. We're going to flip this latch up, okay, and then we can grab that plastic tab and pull it back. All right, just like that. And now the keyboard is disconnected as well. You kind of want to fold it back a little bit to keep it from going over the motherboard. Okay, I will also lift out the fan, but I'm going to put the same fan back and the same speakers back, so that way I don't have to mix them up and worry about these little bolts that the screw mount's missing. If you're wondering how to remove those, you will have to either use some small pliers to hold the bolt in place while you unscrew it, or you have to find the right size. I don't think they have that tiny of these little hex screwdriver bits. All right, but anyways, so we got that out. We're still using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. So what I'm going to do to make it less confusing is I'm going to stick with the T5 Torx 5 screwdriver and remove, if I remember, all the T5 screws that we need to remove. Okay, so for the screen connector here, we're going to remove the 4 going across the screen board. Okay, so we're going to remove these 4. Again, keep track of all your screws. Again, I put them all upside down in that pattern, like I showed earlier. Okay, so we're going to remove these 4 at the top. Right, and sorry if anything's unclear. This one I'm trying to be very thorough to kind of explain what's going on. And we got one more down here holding the wireless antennas, so we're going to take that one out as well. Okay, all right. We're going to disconnect the wireless antennas so we don't forget later. Let me zoom in so you can see that. All right, to remove that, I just get my fingernails under, close to the tail, just pop it straight up, just like that. And you can see that they actually both came up. Usually I have to go on both and then like pull them up like that. But there you go. Okay, came out pretty easily. Okay, let me see. I think the motherboard ones are also T5, but it looks like one is hidden underneath the hinge screw mount here. So actually, let's go ahead and start removing some T3 or Torx 3 screws. Okay. So we're going to get the T3 or Torx 3. I like to take the T4 as well and then kind of just check if I can use it in these, because sometimes Apple likes to mix people up and use T4. But it looks like actually we're going to be good with just the T3 here. So Actually, this one's kind of close to a T4 actually. So I don't know why. Like this one is definitely not going to fit a T4 at all. Maybe it's just Apple has bad quality. I don't know. This one's also like a T4, and this one's not. Yeah, so I don't know. Apple has like their screws aren't exact. Okay, so because of that, I'm gonna use the T4 to remove those first, just to be safe. Okay, I think it is this. Huh. Okay, there we go. So I don't know why some of them I can remove with the T4, or I need to use a T4, otherwise they'll get damaged. And other ones, it's like if you use a T4, you won't even be able to get the screwdriver in. So I think it was it this one? No. Okay. It's just barely. So we're gonna use the T3, and I think it should be okay. So only that one needed it. Oops, sorry if I went out of view for these. Alright, so first thing we're gonna start removing, again, we're using the T3 or Torx 3. We're gonna start removing these hinge covers. Alright. Also, if I do this without like recording it, I can do this in under an hour. This is probably gonna end up taking me longer. Actually, I don't know how, I haven't timed it, probably like half an hour or something. Anyways, we're gonna remove this hinge cover. If you saw, I lifted this and then I pulled it out that way. Okay, we'll set that aside. Then we're gonna work our way over. These metal plates we'll leave on there. If you bought a new screen and it didn't have these metal plates, you can transfer them over. But yeah, most of the times it'll already have those. All right, so we're gonna remove these two screws holding these spring-loaded parts in place. And if you've been seeing, I don't know if you saw any ants walking through. I've been having some infestation. I even like put some poison stuff, but somehow, I don't know if new colonies keep coming to get it, but they keep coming back. I don't know what's going on. All right. I think it was the cold, rainy weather. All right, we got that. We're gonna get this one. Uh-oh, this feels like I might need the T4. Am I? No? Is the screw just... I don't know. Apple over-torqued it. It's not going to come out, I feel. I feel this screw might strip. I'm going to put a lot of pressure and twist it. Yeah, I think that one just stripped. Well, let's go for this one. This one works just fine. See? I don't know. Apple's screw, whatever they do, it's not very... What do you call it? Precise. So I don't know how. I'm gonna probably have to use a screw extractor for that screw, because it wouldn't fit the T4 and the T3 is too small. Alright, now we're gonna remove this metal plate here on top, and we'll set that with the screws. I'm gonna try the T4 one more time. Let's go ahead and disconnect this cable so I get my fingernail underneath at the edge, and then I hold this down and then pop it up. Alright, just like that. Let's try the T4 one more time. If that doesn't work, I'm going to have to try a screw extractor. And if that doesn't work, then I'm probably going to have to just drill it away, because this screw is definitely, yeah, it's not even fitting the T4. But the T3 wouldn't even work, so let's see. Can I somehow get this with enough pressure? Nope. Wait, oh yeah. Okay, I got it. Okay, good, we got this one out. That scared me. I was worried it was going to be stuck in there. Alright, then we get this metal plate off. I don't know if there's such thing as half sizes for this, like a T3, 3.5, then that would probably work well. But yeah, alright, let's go ahead and get this one out. But as you notice, I could kind of tell just from the feeling of trying to turn it that the screwdriver bit was too small. So after doing this quite a bit, you kind of get the idea, or get the feeling. Yeah. Alright, so there we go. We got this last one out from the top board. Oh wait, I'm not done yet. We still have to get the other hinge cover out. Okay. on the other one, I only had to use the T4 on one of them. The T4 only fit on one of them. All right, we're gonna lift this up and then pull that out like the other. There we go. Okay, so I believe all the rest are actually T5 or Torx 5s, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put that away, and the T3 and the T4, and we'll go back with the T5. If I need to switch back to the T3, I'll let you know. Okay, so we're gonna remove this screw over here, holding the whatchamacallit in place, the heatsink, all right? We're gonna remove that one screw there. Okay, again, there's a lot of screws to keep track of. Hopefully you guys are following along and keeping them in that pattern. We got 2 screws here holding this connector in place. This one controls the headphone jack, the auxiliary port. I believe that's what they call it, and the microphones. Well, we'll take this stuff out and then we'll follow the cables and see. I will have to take the fan out to be 100% sure. I pretty much never have to replace those, so that's why I'm not 100% sure. All right, we're gonna remove this this metal plate as well. Okay. All right. Oh, also for the little metal plate that goes over the LCD LVDS connector, the screw hole for that metal plate is slightly larger for the one on this side on the left right now, and then the right side is like a perfect circle. So it doesn't really matter. You can flip it upside down if you want. I mean, not upside down, but you can like rotate it and it'll be fine. But I don't know if Apple like has a specific way they make sure that if it's not that way, they're gonna say, well, you opened it or somebody did something wrong. Anyways, we're gonna pop this up. I mean, they wouldn't have a way to prove it unless they check for like your fingerprints or something. I don't know. Because the factory, they could have done it wrong. Anyways, let's go ahead and pop this connector up. I just use my fingernails underneath the corners of it, and then I kind of just wiggle it. I don't know why this one is so much more difficult to pop out than the other one. I think there's too much adhesive here. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop this. There we go. So you can see there's adhesive kind of holding it. But we're just gonna leave it there and we'll move it out of the way later as we need to. Okay, then we got another screw down here. Also T5 or Torx 5. Oops, sorry. There you go. All right. We're going to continue moving over. We got the 2 trackpad screws here. We are going to be migrating the trackpad over because the trackpad on the other one, it's being replaced, or there wasn't one. Okay, and we're going to remove the other screw holding that metal plate down. All right, now we got those 2 screws out. We're going to take the metal plate off and set that aside. Okay. All right, we're going to pop this connector out as well. Again, same thing, just get underneath and pop it up, just like this. Kind of have to wiggle it sometimes, it's stuck a bit. Come on, there we go. All right, so we disconnected that. I'll show you how to remove that later. The SSD is right here, and you can remove it if you take these 2 screws out. Then you can kind of lift it slightly and pull it back, but there's this adhesive that you have to peel out. So I'm not going to mess with that. This is a special Apple SSD, and if you're going to replace it, you basically need the same one. You don't technically need to remove the speaker to remove this SSD. You can just kind of lift it up slightly and pull it back, but yeah, we're not going to be doing that today because I don't want to undo the adhesive. That adhesive is kind of like a one-time adhesive, and if you peel it up, you break that seal, and it's kind of also there to help dissipate heat, like it pulls heat away. But anyways, we're going to undo this screw from the SSD and this screw from the SSD. Okay, so we got those 2 out. And then if you look, you can kind of lift this separate from the motherboard. If I'm holding the motherboard down, you can see I can lift this slightly. But yeah, I'm not going to be taking that out today. All right, we got one more screw here. The customer was complaining about only one charge port working, but the battery wasn't really charging well. So that's why we're replacing the whole keyboard and battery and everything. But this model, the charge ports are actually integrated into the motherboard. So if those are bad, you're gonna have a bad time. All right, you don't technically need to replace or remove the wireless card to get the motherboard, logic board out. If I wanted, I could like lift it slightly. Oops, let me zoom out here. Oh, that's probably way too much. But if I wanted, I could basically kind of hold this up slightly, pull the motherboard up, and then swing it down, swing it over. But it's a lot easier to do it if you remove the wireless board. Well, I mean, it's a lot easier for this to come out. It's not easier to do. But yeah, since I have to transfer over the screen as well, I might as well remove that first, okay? So what I'm gonna do to remove the screen, I got most of the stuff out already. We're gonna open it up all the way, rotate it this way. If you want a video for how to replace the screen, I actually have one that's dedicated to that procedure. So you might want to watch that one instead, because this one is kind of like very long with all these extra things in between. All right, we're going to use the T8 or Torx 8 to remove the 6 hinge screws. Sorry, I have to hang this over the edge, the screen over the edge of my desk. That's why it zoomed out so far. Okay, and we're going to remove those 6 hinge screws. Okay. See if you can catch an ant running around now. There's one down here, but I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of blended in with the black part. Oh wait, what am I doing? Why am I taking the hinge screws out first? Okay, I'm gonna put one hinge screw back first because I do need to remove the wireless antenna board first. Sorry for jumping ahead there. We're gonna close the screen back up. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rotate this and I'm gonna zoom back in. To remove the wireless antenna board, we are going to be using the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8 screwdriver. Sorry for skipping ahead there and getting you guys confused. Right, we're going to remove all these screws. There's quite a few of them. All right, I keep them all in order. They're pretty much the same size all the way across, but I like to keep them in order and put the same one back where I got it, because sometimes there are some slight differences, and I like to try and keep those differences as swapped around as little as possible. All right, so there we go. We got all of those. We're going to slide this over, and we're going to remove all the screws from this side as well. Okay. There we go. Remove that one. That one. And last one. Okay, there we go. So we got all of those out. Let's go ahead and zoom out. We're going to remove the wireless antennas now. Okay, so the way you do this, I like to use the air vent holes here and get my finger in there. You can get your tool, pry tool, or whatever in there, whatever fits well. And I'm going to pull up slightly on this. And while I'm holding this up, I'm going to work my way across to this side, get my fingernail in there, and pull that up. And there you go. It popped up. You can see this whole thing's all wobbly now. Okay, so once we do that, we're going to have to get this out. It might help to kind of bend these a little bit this way. We're going to slide it slightly over just to get this metal thing to go through that little hole there. Okay, and then we're still going to continue lifting and pulling it out. Then rotate it like this so it can follow the bend, and then pull it out that way. Okay, so just like that. Basically like playing that, what do you call, operation, whatever. The one where you have that little loop and you go through the wire and you don't want to touch the wire kind of thing. Anyways, there we go. Now we can remove the screen. So we're going to open the screen all the way again. Hang it over the edge of my desk. Let me zoom out. Okay, and then we're going to take the rest of those T8 Torx 8 screws out. Okay, we're done with the P2 screw until we gotta put it back together. All right. All right, get the last 6 screws. There we go. And then we can let the screen kind of go down 90-degree angle, and then we just lift it out. You couldn't see that on the video, but basically the screen is hanging slightly at this. You let it go down like that, and then you can just pull it up. And there we go. All right, let's zoom back in. We're gonna set the screen aside. I gotta make sure I keep the right parts with the right ones that I'm gonna be replacing with the right persons. Okay, so let me make sure to set that aside somewhere it's not gonna fall. All right, next thing, or last thing we need to remove technically, is the trackpad. But let's go ahead and pull the motherboard out real quick so I can show you. You just have all these cables in the way. Make sure that you don't get them stuck on anything. We're gonna slowly lift this up, push the cables out of the way if it's not lifting, because usually if it's stuck, it's a cable that's stuck on it. All right, once you lift it slightly, don't lift too high, you don't want to break this off, and then we're gonna slide it over to the left, and we got the motherboard or logic board out. And if you're wondering how the heatsink is held in place, they put the screws at the bottom because Apple doesn't want you to redo your thermal paste. They want you to destroy your logic board trying to do your thermal paste. So 4 screws there. I believe those are also T5 or Torx 5 screws. If you want to replace this LCD LVDS cable, though this cable, it's not going to break by itself. It's not the thing that's causing the FlexGate issue. It's actually something built into the screen that's causing that. All right, and these screws are removable as well. There's this little plastic that's on top, and I believe those are actually T3 or Torx 3 screws as well. So T3, Torx 3 because they have the metal plate on top, and then T5 or Torx 5. Okay, so we got the logic board, motherboard out. Again, they were saying it was having trouble charging, and now I see why. Look at this. Do you see that? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. That one pin is like damaged there. Oh, you can see this one over here has a pin that's screwed up. I don't know if I can somehow bend that back to fix it. Maybe a little bit it helped. I don't know. It looks pretty bad. I don't know what they did to get that damaged. They like poked it with something, or something was in there and they just jammed the charger in. I don't know. I'll try and see if I can correct it with a needle or something. The other side looks okay. All right, let me see what I can do with this real quick, and then we'll continue with the rest. So I'm gonna zoom in here. Sorry for going off track, but I do need to fix this customer's computer. This isn't just a tutorial video, okay? So let me zoom in here and see if you guys can even see that. Can you see that? I think so. That's gonna be hard for me to see, actually. Okay, the camera can see it better than me right now. So right here, it's like messed up. It's like bent. That kind of helped. I think I have to just separate that. Okay, let me look closer at it, and I'm gonna, I guess, do this real quick, and then I'll be back. All right, see you guys in a bit. Where's the pause button? Give me a second. All right, well, I'm back. Here's a closer look, and I actually just noticed this one's also damaged, just not as bad. So I don't know what's going on with that, but there was a flake of metal sticking up. I had to actually kind of scrape it out because it kept wanting to overlap with that, and that's not good. All right, this one is kind of just scraped, so yeah, I'm not too sure how that happened. You can see when I angle it at a certain angle, I didn't notice until I angled it, and then I saw it was like shiny in that one spot. So I'm not sure what's damaging it. The other side doesn't have that issue. But anyway, sorry, let's go ahead and continue with the reassembly. So I'm not too sure what to tell the customer in terms of that, because I'm not able to replace these. Apple did some whatever this is to make it impossible or very, very, very difficult to replace these charge ports. So even the person I work with that usually replaces these types of things, they have problems with it and usually don't replace those. Okay, anyways, we'll set the motherboard, logic board aside. Okay, gotta be careful with this one. Okay, all right, I think I mentioned everything there. Okay, here we have the thing with the removed speakers. I am going to be putting the speakers back. Again, there's this cable that goes to the keyboard. Same thing with the little latches. And let me actually show you the fan right now. So you see this cable goes over here to the headphone jack, auxiliary port and stuff. And you can actually replace that. I believe those are also T3 screws. And the keyboard has some even tinier screws, it looks like. But this one, the keyboard, it's like riveted in place, so it's, even if you take all the screws out, it's going to be, basically you have to tear the keyboard up. So I did one before, it's not worth it. All right. You got the two microphones here. All right, let's lift the fan up. I'm not going to completely take it out because then I have to undo the adhesive here, but I will lift it out for you to see what's going on. Are these T3? Let me see, I didn't look close enough. They might be, okay, T5. Okay, so we got some T5 screws holding the fan down. All right, so we got one there, one here. Okay, and one more in this corner. I'm not going to be taking the fan screws or the cables out, but there's the fan connector there. It goes in sideways. You peel this up, and then you can see the fan connector right there. Same thing with the little latch on the end. You flip it up, you can pull it out. But anyways, let's see if I can show you guys this, the fan. Oh, I think I do have to peel at least this one up. So we're going to carefully peel this up. You want to be careful not to fold or crease this cable. I'm just peeling it, kind of rolling it up. Okay, and then be careful with this last bit. I'm holding my finger here, so when I peel this, it's not going to just suddenly like tear, like fly away. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to move this out of the way. And let's see about lifting this up carefully. Oh, there's one more screw here I didn't see. I thought there was no screw there for some reason because I only saw the silver rounded part like above it. So I thought there was no screw up there. Alright, anyways, we got those 4 screws out. Now let's continue lifting this. And I'm just going to flip this out of the way so you can see, but there's not really anything underneath, okay? So we're going to lower this back down. Alright, again, the fan connects to the keyboard here, and then the keyboard connects everything there to the motherboard. Alright, I just wanted to show you guys that. But if you do need to replace the fan, that's how you would do it. Okay, let's get these screws back in. Apple designs this stuff intentionally to make it difficult. They could easily make this to where they can replace these components super simple. I know if they really wanted to engineer it in an easy way, they can actually even make all these fans and stuff. You just drop it in and it'll have like some little contact points with little springs that will make it work, but they want to make it as difficult as possible. So, well, I guess not as difficult as possible because they want to still make sure that you can do something with it. If they make it completely as difficult as possible, then they can't go to court and say they designed it for like maximizing safe. Then for sure it's because you want to make it difficult, all right, or impossible. Anyways, we got all these screws back for the fan in. Okay, so this is the old one. All right, this is the one that's having problems. I'm going to transfer the trackpad over, so let's go ahead and take that out as well. You want to be very careful taking out the trackpad. So let's go ahead and remove all the screws, and then I'll show you why you have to be careful. There's little washers in there that if you shake it even like a tiny bit, they can go flying. So you want to be very careful. Okay, let me get all of these out, and then we're going to set this piece aside. Hopefully I don't mix anything up here. Okay. I wonder if I should just go when I reassemble it to do it quick. All right. Get the last few screws out. All right, so again, you want to be very careful. We're going to peel this trackpad cable up slowly. You don't want to pull from here because if you do, you'll tear this. So what you want to do is you want to go from here and then make sure you're grabbing below this line and then slowly peel it up just like this. I'm pulling it this way as I peel it up, and then you want to keep your finger here so that way when it runs out of adhesive, you aren't going to just suddenly like rip it out like that, okay? So you're going to slowly peel it this way. If you want, you can apply a little heat, it might help. All right, but there you go. You don't want to put too much heat because it's on the battery, but here you can see the adhesive makes this like ripply stuff. It even peels up that layer, so you want to be careful and go slow. All right, so now we're going to lift this up. If you had the screen still attached, you'd have to be opening your MacBook and carefully taking this out, but since we detached the screen already, we can actually lift this out. Oh, you can't see. Let me zoom out here. So we're lifting this out, and the cable will just be threaded through this hole. Be careful to guide it through, and there we go. All right, so this now is basically junk. The battery's bad and the keyboard's bad, so the only thing salvageable is the fan, this piece, which nobody's ever going to need. Pretty much the fan almost nobody ever needs. I've rarely ever seen a fan break on the MacBooks unless water got in it, and this cable if somebody was trying to take it out and damaged it. But yeah, other than that, nothing else. Let me actually put the speakers back in because I'm not going to be using these. I'm going to be using the ones that are already in there. Okay, so we're just going to slide them back in an angle, drop it down, and then we'll screw these back into place. All right. And I'm going to loosely fit the screws first because I want to make sure they lined up right. Okay. All right, and then just tighten it down. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Make sure, of course, that that keyboard cable is out of the way, that one underneath. If you are doing this on one where you're actually going to use the keyboard. All right, we're going to go back in at an angle with this one. Same thing, drop it down. Okay, get this lined up. And then tighten it a little, and then tighten that one. Right, once you get both in, tighten it all the way. Tighten that all the way. And there we go. Okay. All right, and that's the end of the video. If you want to see how to put it back together, send me 20 bucks. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go ahead and put this back together with the replacement parts here. All right, though if you appreciate my videos, it'd be nice if you send something. Even if you just send like a penny, it helps. Like people go, oh, I don't want to seem unthankful, ungrateful, and send a penny. But I mean, if everybody that didn't send me anything sent me a penny, that'd be a lot of money. So... All right, anyways, let's go ahead and get this in. So same thing, we're gonna lift this up, okay? Oh, I forgot to show you guys the little washers I was talking about. So they have these little washers here, these rectangular ones, circular ones, and then rectangular ones on these double screws. So you wanna be careful, because if you shake this a little, or even if you're just cleaning it, brushing it, or blowing it with something, those things will fall off very easily, and then you're gonna lose them. I don't think they really affect anything if you lose them, so you don't really have to worry too much. But if they fall out and land in some of these things and you don't know and you try and power up the computer, you're going to fry everything. And also, I believe these are probably like some kind of Apple security thing, so they know that if you messed with your computer. Anyways, it looks like, I don't know if somebody worked on this before because that cable's like crinkly. Alright, anyways, we're going to lift this up. Sometimes it's just Apple's not too good with this stuff. Alright, it's with anyone. It's people that are building this stuff. Hey, get out of here. I'm getting ants rolling around. Okay, we're going to get that in. Thread it through. Be careful. You don't want to flip the trackpad sideways or anything. Okay, we're going to get that in very carefully. And then line up the trackpad, okay? Very slow, very carefully again. You don't want to accidentally, like, suddenly shake it, and then those little washers will fall out, and you're gonna be in trouble because they'll be rolling around inside the computer. Okay, anyways, we got the trackpad back in. I'm gonna use their old screws for this one because this is using the same trackpad, and that's where the screws are going. So get that in. Okay, what I like to do is get one in that corner, and then we'll get one in the other corner. All right, over here. If anybody knows how to get rid of these dumb ants that keep bothering me. Okay. I've been trying everything. There we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the trackpad screws in, but loosely fit them. If you're wondering why loosely fit, it's because the trackpad doesn't actually line up properly with the screws. So we're going to have to use some tape to, or first we're going to line it up, and then we're going to use tape to hold it in place, okay? Alright, so we'll get all of these screws back in. This. Alright, again, we're just loosely fitting these screws because if you look, even with all these screws in, see how much wobble that is? Yeah, and you don't want your trackpad randomly like all the way in one direction. It's not gonna look, I mean, it'll still work, it just will look bad. Some people probably won't even notice, but for me it's very annoying seeing it like that, so yeah. Alright. Let's flip this over. Be very careful not to smash the cables here, okay? So make sure they're going flat. Alright, so we got the trackpad, and here you can see how wobbly it is. Alright, so we want to center this, and then we want to use tape to keep it centered, and then we can go ahead and put the screws down. Somebody took my scissors here. Alright, give me a second. I'm going to use a razor blade for now to cut this tape. You don't need much tape to do this, okay? So, oh, magnet on here, let go. Alright. So I'm just going to cut a piece of this tape here. Alright. There we go. Then we're going to cut the tape in half. You can use any kind of tape, but this is just a temporary like thing to help keep it aligned. Alright, and you'll see in a bit what I'm doing. Alright, so we got two pieces of tape. What I like to do is fold over an edge here a little bit on each piece of tape. And this makes it so we can easily peel it back up later. Okay, so we got these release tabs. Okay, so what we're going to do now, stick a piece of tape on the trackpad itself and make sure you hold up the sides. We can use this to align it. So what I like to do is I like to go up, down, and left, right. And then I can kind of know how much it goes left and right, and then just go halfway. And then halfway. And then it's a little bit tricky to kind of keep it there. But once you get it in right, then you just tape it down. So it's, oh, since you guys have the straight top-down view, I probably need to watch from the screen. Give me a second. It's hard to align this exactly, but it's about there and about there. And also the shadows affect it, so I kind of, after I tape it down, I kind of look and then I flip it the other way and see if the shadows change it. But no, I need to move this one more to the right, I feel. Yeah. So you can see, I'm going to try and do it this, maybe I should just do it from my own viewpoint, because after all, the laptop user is not going to be looking straight down at their trackpad, so, okay. Is that centered or still? Yeah, I think I have to slide it up. Okay, and again, it depends on you, like how perfect you want it. It doesn't really affect the MacBook if you don't line it up 100% right. It's just aesthetics, okay? I like to have the gap very even all the way around. Alright, and it looks like that's the winner. Okay, so there we go. That's probably as perfect as I'm going to get it. Now that we got that, we're going to flip it over, tighten those screws into place, right? It helps to do, again, corner, like this. Now we got those two corners, we'll go to these corners. All right, and we'll tighten the rest down. Should be good to go. Get these in. All right. All right, so now we got all those screws in. Flip it over, make sure everything looks good. Again, be careful with that cable. All right, looks good. You can go ahead and peel this up now. Don't need those anymore. Okay, good. Flip this over. All right, and we're not gonna actually stick this down yet, because what I do is I click this into the motherboard or logic board, and then I go from this side to make sure this side stays flat or straight. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do to make this easier, we're gonna go ahead and put the motherboard, logic board in, okay? All right, hopefully, oh yeah, okay, I know I got the right one because the new keyboard assembly that I got, this was actually from an Apple replacement. Apple screwed up my logic board, and then they said it basically wasn't their fault. They screwed up the thing, and I didn't know until I started reinstalling the OS like a month later, and then it just crashed and it wouldn't install. Anyways, I waited too long. It was outside the warranty or repair window, so they wouldn't do anything. Anyways, we're gonna go at an angle like this. All right, and that's where I had that part. We're gonna slowly lower this down. Plus, Apple probably won't fix my stuff since I fix my own stuff, so. All right, here we go. Gonna lower this. That one, Apple had like a repair program for the SSD. It was known to be defective, and then also the battery. So they actually replaced, which was a bad thing, because when they went to go replace my battery, they took the motherboard out and put in a whole keyboard assembly like this, and they broke the MacBook. Anyways, yeah, I don't really buy MacBooks. Alright, so we got that. Again, make sure all these cables are on top. You got that one, you got the screen one, this one, the keyboard, and the other speaker. I think it's getting caught. Is it getting caught on this or something? It feels like it's not sitting as flat as it should. No, okay, I think it should be okay. Once the screws go in, it'll be good. We're gonna go ahead and line this up and click this cable back in. Okay, good. This one helps somewhat align the motherboard with the rest. Then we got this cable for this speaker. Let's zoom in here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and pull this cable back. You have to kind of bow it slightly. I don't know if you can see it's slightly bending. And then get that lined up. And then once that's in, you can actually push on the bowed up part, and that will push that into place. Slide your finger over the latch. Very important. Don't use like some tool or something to like flick at it. I've heard people say they lost this little latch because they did like use some kind of tool, and then it just ripped it or it pulled it out. All right, so here we go. We got the trackpad connector. Just line this up. Hopefully I'm getting everything in view of the camera. I keep forgetting sometimes that I'm zoomed in so far. That's why sometimes I prefer not to zoom in, but it's more helpful to you guys if you can see close up. All right, so now that I got that plugged in, we're gonna run our finger across, keep it flat, and then run our finger across, keep that taped down. All right, and then we got this one here. So we don't want to put the battery screw or the battery connector yet, because we want to get everything else in before that. So we're gonna skip that. We're gonna go over here to the keyboard connector. This one's tough because it's underneath the other one. I'm gonna rotate it here. I don't know if that will help you guys see at all or not. We're gonna flip this latch, make sure that latches up. Same thing, I use my fingernail to pull this back at the edge of the connector. Oop, I flipped it down. Well, we'll leave it flipped down until I get it in place. Then you get that connector down into there. All right, once it's in place, you can make sure this latches up and make sure that cable goes in. All right, and then to make sure it's really in, you can grab the little plastic flap and help pull it a little. Right, once it's there, flip your or slide your finger over to latch it, and then just put that plastic back down. Same thing with this one. We're gonna go down, make sure it's lined up. Okay. And then slide that in. There we go. All right, and then we'll slide our finger over there to latch it down, and there we go. Okay, so that's what we got. Let's zoom out. We're gonna start putting back a bunch of screws here. Okay, to put back the screws, I'm gonna leave it zoomed out more because I don't want to have to keep moving the thing all over, and we kind of already went over what screws go where, so hopefully you guys will know. Okay, so I'm still using the T5, well, yeah, the T5 Torx 5. Let's go ahead and start putting back like motherboard screws and stuff, okay? So we'll get this first screw that was holding the heatsink all the way up in this corner, and we'll get that screw in. Okay, next we're gonna get all of these. So we have that metal plate that's holding this 3.5mm auxiliary port, jack, whatever, in place. And the microphones. All right, so we'll get that one screw. Again, usually when they have stuff like this, when there's multiple screws, again, I like to loosely fit it first, and then we'll get the second screw, and we'll get that one in. And the reason is, you can see how much this moves. You want to make sure it's lined up properly, and then tighten that down. There we go. And there we go. All right, so we got that connected, and then we're gonna get all these motherboard screws in and the SSD screws. So we got 4 going along the bottom, and then we had this one up here. This one's for the wireless antennas. We're gonna do that later. Okay. That one in. That one in. This one. This one. And the last one up here. Okay, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually loosen all these screws a little. If you do this, make sure you re-tighten all of them. And this last one. This one I'm not as worried about. And I'm going to just try and pull it over slightly to make sure these are all the way in as far as possible. Okay. And then while I'm kind of holding it there, I'm going to tighten this one screw. Alright, and now we should be okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten them all back down. I just wanted to make sure the charge port connectors were as close as possible to the outside edge. Alright. And I didn't have to undo these because these are just basically holding this metal plate in place. Actually, I might be wrong. Okay, let me undo it. I think this one might actually be going underneath. So let me undo these again and then do this one more time. Sorry for this extra step that I'm doing, but I don't know if you can see if it moves a little bit. Actually, not much. Okay, I think most of the connectors and stuff hold it in place pretty well. So yeah, all right, we'll tighten that up. Tighten that. This one. Okay. And the last one here. Okay. So we got all of those in place. We can go ahead and put the screen back now. Okay. So I'm gonna flip this over. This part, I guess I have to zoom out for you guys to see. All right, there we go. So again, we're gonna have this hanging at the edge so we can get the screen. You wanna hold this thing up with, there's the 2 spring-loaded ones and the board, so you wanna hold all of these up here. I just use all my fingers to help hold it. And we slowly lower this down into place. You can drop those connectors there. All right, I'm gonna hold this up with my legs. Then we have this. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. And I'll loosely fit these screws first, okay? So what I do is I loosely fit these screws here. Okay, just like that. And all right, don't want them too tight because we want it to be able to shift a little, but you don't want it too loose either, okay? Anyways, it'll wobble a tiny bit, that's okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna lay this on its back and slowly close this. Make sure it's not rubbing or getting caught on anything. Okay, and there we go. Then you wanna make sure everything is aligned on the sides, the front and the back. All right, just like that. And this gap here should be pretty even, okay? Once you confirm that, zoom back in, then we can go ahead and tighten the screw. There and there. Okay, I want to make sure these are pretty tight. I don't want them coming loose. If you want, you can also add some thread locker to hold them even tighter, though usually MacBooks, because they have that extra thing on top, they hold pretty well. Okay. All right. And the last two screws holding the hinges in place. Okay, sure these are good. Okay. All right, so we're gonna rotate this back over. Now we gotta reconnect the screen cable and all these thingies here. So these little spring-loaded ones, again, this is basically a screen replacement video right now at this part. We're done with the T8, Torx 8, so we're gonna put that away. I don't need that anymore. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna use the T3 or Torx 3. I like to start with the T3 and get these spring-loaded things in first, okay? So we're gonna get those screws. So hold this out of the way, rotate the spring-loaded thing into the right position. You might have to pull it, I don't know if you can see, but when you pull it, it extends, okay? So let's go ahead. Oh, did I not? Did I? No, it's right, okay. All right, so which way am I flipping this? This way. All right, so we'll get this lined up into place. And hold that down. All right, so while you're holding that, we're gonna go ahead and get the screw in. I'm gonna have to make sure, because sometimes these aren't this tightly spring-loaded, so, or like it doesn't need to stretch that far, the spring. So I'm gonna make sure that that I didn't mess something up. Let's go ahead and get this down, and then we're gonna open up the screen. All right, so we got that screw in. See, like this one, it's like easily fitting there, so maybe something's weird here. Let me open this up real quick. I don't want to be pulling too much on this and then it causes some damage. Okay, let's see what's going on. I'm gonna open this up. Oh, just as I thought, it's sticking in here a little bit, so gotta make sure the cable goes out all the way. Okay, make sure the cable's out all the way. There we go. Then we'll get this in. All right, hold that in place, tighten that down. All right, get the next one. And we'll tighten this one down. All right, we got the other two spring-loaded ones here. We're gonna get those in place as well. That one. And the second one. so we've got all of those. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to the board here. We're gonna get those 4 in. All right, switching back to the T5 or Torx 5. Actually, let's go ahead and get the wireless antennas in real quick. Okay, so we have this. There's a little hole down there that this needs to go back in. It goes underneath this piece, that's why we're gonna do this first. So we're gonna get this. Kind of have to wiggle it a little, make sure they go over like that. Make sure this goes under, there we go. And then hold this in place, and then make sure you can push that down. It should click in place. You'll know that you got it in right, because if you lift up over here, oops, let me do that again, kind of pop back out easily. Interesting. Oh wait, am I using, let me use the, that's because the wireless antenna is from a different one. Let me use the other one that came with this one. Okay, so you're gonna get this wireless antennas back in there. Okay, come on, line up. Let me actually uncurl this a little. Okay, that. Okay, so again, line it up, push that in. It should click in, and you know, because if you pull this, you can see the middle staying in place. Okay, so we should be good to go. All right. At this point, you can do the T5 first, but actually what I'm going to do is the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8. All right. So what I like to do is I like to do the outside edges of each side first. So we're going to hold this in place, pinch it together, and then we're going to do this one. Okay, and we'll get the other screw, and we'll do that one. Okay, just like that. So then we have those 4 there. We're going to go to the other side, and we'll do the same thing. All right. We'll hold this together, tighten that down, good. Get the other one, and we'll tighten this down as well. There we go. So now it will hold itself in place. We don't have to worry, and we can finish putting all those Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screws in. Okay. Go. All right. One. There we go. All right, let's zoom in. We're going to get the wireless antennas reconnected. All right, so to get this reconnected, just line it up. It's very important you get this lined up before you press down on it, because these are very fragile. Okay, so you'll know it's lined up. If you try and move it around, you can see it's staying in its place. Then you can go ahead and click it down. All right, so line it up. Right, put a little pressure on it just to kind of have it stay in. You can see it's not latching in. There you go. And then once it's lined up, you can see it's staying. Then you can go ahead and click it down just like that. All right, so we got the wireless antennas back in. We do need to put that T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver back. We're done with the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver. So we'll set that aside. We'll get now the all these T5 or Torx 5 screws in. Okay, let me zoom out here. Okay, so we're gonna get those 5 screws back in. And I like to, again, loosely fit these first, and then once everything is in, then we will go ahead and tighten them down. So, get that screw in. Okay, good, loosely fit. Second one, right here. Okay, there we go, loosely fit. Third one. Get this cable out of the way. The LCD cable is kind of blocking. Okay, make sure to get that in. Come on. There we go. And the fourth one. Alright, and then we got the cable connectors, the wireless antennas. Alright. Tighten that in. We're going to tighten that all the way now. Okay, that one's good. We'll tighten this one. Good. Tighten the next one. Good. Next one. Good. And the last one. Good. We're going to reconnect the LCD LVDS connector. I use my fingernail to, usually we got to pull it slightly back a little and then click it in. Alright, just like that. Okay, we're going to switch back over to the T3 or Torx 3. We're going to put the metal plates on top. Okay, metal plate here. These can be a little tricky to put back. Sometimes what helps is I hold the metal plate like this, get the screw in the hole, and then I'll use this to kind of help guide it. Okay. So we'll do that, and there we go. So we got that one in. Then we'll get the second screw. Again, I just loosely fit it first because this can move all over the place. And then this can be tricky, but we're gonna carefully, slowly guide, oops, come on. Guide that in, and then tighten that down. All right, then hold that in place. Tighten it in. Good. Tighten the other one. Good. We'll do the same thing with the LCD LVDS connector one. Again, one hole is a little bit wider, and this one's more of a perfect circle. The wider one goes towards the left. Not that it matters, but if you want to put it back the same way you got it, I believe that's how it should have been. Right? At least that's how it was on this one. Okay, so we're going to hold this. Get this lined up and get these screws in. Alright, so loosely fit it. Get the second one. Okay. And we're going to loosely fit this. Come on, there we go. And we can go ahead and loosely tighten that down. Sorry, not loosely. You want to tighten it down all the way. All right, and there we go. So we got the LCD connected back in. We're going to go ahead and put the LCD, the hinge covers back, so they go at an angle like that. Make sure that it does end up underneath, not on top of the aluminum housing. Okay. Get the screw in. Again, using the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. Get this one in. Okay, we're going to go over to the other side, do the same thing. Again, at an angle so it goes underneath the aluminum housing. Okay. We'll get these two screws back in. That one. And this one. Alright, we're almost there. What do we got left? We got the trackpad cover screw. I believe we're done with all the T3 Torx 3 screws now, as well as the T4. If you noticed, I didn't even really use the T4 or Torx 4. It's because they're supposed to be T3, but Apple, I don't know, the screws, some of them, they don't manufacture too well, and they're slightly too big, and then the T3 doesn't work. Alright, at least for removing them. For tightening them, it works fine. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and loosely fit that one. Get the next one. And then we're gonna have to plug it in and make sure it powers up and works okay. Right, and we got the second screw here. We're gonna tighten that. I think maybe what it is when they tighten it down, they tighten it too hard and it slightly strips the screw to where it makes it a little bit too large. I don't know if that's what it is, but alright, anyways, we got that down with the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. We're gonna now put down the battery screw. Last one here. Okay, get that screw in. Alright, and then we're going to slide this connector in. Very important, make sure you get this all the way. I keep getting a lot of people that replace their batteries have problems, and it's usually because they don't get this connector in as far as it should. It does have some gold sticking out, but not like it has to hold well. Alright, so we got that in. We're going to slide our finger over the latch to lock it down. There we go, you can stick that down. We got the little, this plastic cover thingy. I like to go sideways like this to line up the screw with that, and then we just rotate it like this and make sure this goes flush here. And then just press down. Good. Let's zoom out. And we're just about done. We just got to get the bottom cover back on. Okay. Make sure we get theirs. Okay. And I think we got everything, right? It's confusing because I had two computers that I worked on at the same time, but I think that is everything. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead now and put this cover back on. So line up these edges here, okay? And what you want to do, it's easier if you do one side first. So I hold down here because those little clips go into the air vents there, and you want to slide that up, make sure that's in, and then you can kind of pull. If this side went up too far, you can pull it back a little, make sure this side's pushed down, and then you can go ahead. I'm actually pushing with my thumb here. Actually, I should zoom out more so you guys can see. So push like that to slide that up, and there we go. And let me zoom in to show you. You want to check that both sides are lined up. As you can see, this side has a huge gap and this side doesn't. So we actually need to slide it over this way. If you can actually use these nubs to pull it over sideways like this. All right. And you can see now it's lined up. But if you're not able to do that, you might have to remove the cover and then line it up again. Anyways, this part slid down a tiny bit after pushing the other side up. So we're going to same thing. Use that. I use my thumb here. On the cover itself, all right, not the keyboard area, and then we'll slide that, all right, and make sure one more time it's good. All right, now that it's good, clip these in, clip this in, and then we just got to get all those P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screws, and we're pretty much good to go. We're gonna do a PRAM and SMC reset, and other than that, this MacBook is ready. So again, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that others can find my videos as well. Commenting also helps a lot, so do that. Keep a conversation going, even if it has nothing to do with the computer repair. You can just be like, cool stuff, or I don't know, start a conversation. I will respond as long as YouTube shows me those comments. Sometimes they actually auto-delete comments and don't even send me a notification. I never actually delete any comments, even if you like start cussing me out or something. I will leave your comment on there and I will respond to it. So yeah, feel free to comment whatever you want. And let me see. Yeah. Also, if this video helped you save a bunch of money, again, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Or even if it didn't save you money, if you just appreciate what I do, if you could consider contributing a little. Even like, again, even a penny is cool. Thanks for watching. Let's go ahead and power this up. We're gonna again do the PRAM and SMC reset. SMC reset is Control Option Shift on the left side, power button. This will kind of do like a power cycle thingy where it kind of resets some motherboard settings. And then we're gonna do a PRAM reset now. So we power it up, assuming it's getting power. Okay, it is. And then you hold Command Option P and R. Usually the screen will come up and then if you keep holding it, it'll shut back off and restart, and then it will come up again. But let's see what happens with their MacBook. Okay, I heard the chime, so I'm going to keep holding it. The Apple did come on, and then it shut off. So let me see if I show you this. It'll probably come up again, so I'll do 2 PRAM resets in a row, if it lets me. Sometimes the MacBooks don't even let me do that. I don't know. The older models let you do it, but the newer ones have some issues. So there you go. Apple's on. Yeah, see, it doesn't want to do it a second time. But anyways, so it worked. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to show you the PRAM reset one more time. I don't know if you noticed the volume change. It basically resets the max volume and all this other settings, max brightness and stuff. Okay, so we're going to power it up again. All right, I'm going to hold Command Option P and R. You'll see, okay, it boots up. The Apple logo is there. It shuts off, and then it's going to do it again. Once it shuts off, you can let go, and you successfully did the PRAM reset. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, see, it turned itself back on. All right, anyways, let's drop this. Bye.